Good morning, ladies. How are we? Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody is doing well. It is early. It's time to get myself moving here shortly to the office. But I wanted to hop on and jump for our morning devotional. We are on Journey to Freedom, a study on the life of Moses. And we are on day 2. Today's scriptures to meditate on are Exodus chapter 1, verses 1 through 14. And topic of discussion is growth under oppression and promise. And today's devotion goes like this. Gathering all their cattle and possessions, the Israelites, God's chosen people, pack up their lives and leave behind the promised land to be outsiders in a foreign territory. Canaan, a land in the ancient Middle East known for its agricultural productivity and bounty, has been overcome by a period of drought and famine. The green and flowering landscape has dried up, wasting away the hope of land for God's beloved. The 11 sons of Jacob led the small nation of 70 to Egypt. Along the journey, God assures their gray patriarch that he has not forgotten the promise made to his grandfather Abraham. Jacob remembers the covenant, a binding promise to which the Lord has committed himself. According to his earlier word, God will make Abraham's family into a great nation, as numerous as the stars of the sky and sand on the seashore, found in Genesis chapter 22, verse 17. And he will bring them to the land of Canaan, which will be their permanent possession, referenced in Genesis chapter 17, verses 8. And others will be blessed through them, and most importantly, God will be theirs. Again, mentioned in Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, and Genesis chapter 46, verse 4. Finally, the family of Israel enters the desert land of pyramids, sphinxes, and strange gods. They reunite with the lost son, Joseph, who had been sold into Egyptian slavery by his brothers, but through God's protection was kept and favored by the Egyptian regime. In his foreknowledge, God makes provision for his people through Joseph's position in Pharaoh's court. After Pharaoh's welcome, they feed on Egyptian agricultural reserves and settle in Goshen, an arable area nourished by the Nile River. As time passes, Jacob and Joseph die, but they pass with the hope that God will take the Israelites to the promised land again. At the end of Genesis, Joseph tells his family to remember to carry his deceased body on their journey back home. Though out of the place in Egypt, the Israelites prosper. Exodus chapter 1, verse 7 emphasizes their abundance through the repetition of this theme. The text states that the Israelites were fruitful, increased rapidly, multiplied, and became extremely numerous so that the land was filled with them. God keeps his covenant promise, growing them into a great nation. There is also language used with the word filled, as God commissioned Adam and Eve to fill the earth with image bearers. The Israelites also engage in this creative mission. Though their presence in Egypt, and Israelites made God's kingdom known. While the Israelites are flourishing, a new Pharaoh comes to power who does not know about the favored dream interpreter, Joseph, who saved Egypt from famine. In blind leadership, he fails to count the history of the immigrant nation in his empire and looks at them as a burden. From his palace, he sees the strength of the Israelites and becomes concerned that they will overpower the Egyptian regime and escape. Pharaoh is also spiritually blind to God's redemptive work through the Israelites. In his eyes, he creates a wise plan to keep them subdued. As a result, he tries to thwart the divine promises by bringing them under his authoritarian control. Pharaoh institutes slavery upon the Israelites to oppress them and instill fear in their hearts. Pharaoh stands in opposition to God's people and God himself. Pharaoh is a man in rebellion, becoming an agent of Satan and a spiritual evil. But through his divine foreknowledge, God has seen this slavery coming upon the Israelites when he spoke to Abraham in Genesis chapter 15 through verse 13. He knows before we do. The 400-year bondage will play a part in the sovereign will of God, and he will use this dark period to ultimately enact justice on spiritual evil and show his saving faithfulness. During the strenuous labor, masters watch over the Israelites with whips and sticks in hand, ready to strike at any sign of sloth or dissent. With backs bent, they carry stone and bags of sand. Steeped in mud and clay, the Israelites lay brick upon brick. Through the pain and tears, the Israelites build Pithom and Ramesses, great cities for Pharaoh, and the resources of Egypt. The Egyptians make their lives bitter, found in Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. The people likely become broken and grieved. The Exodus chapter 1, verse 14 continues the style of repetition, but here the relentless and cruel treatment is emphasized. The whip cracks and blood is shed, but God preserves their numbers and holds their presence in the land. They are still under the promises of God. God continues the redemptive plan he spoke to Abraham. He will cause them to be a great nation for his kingdom glory. As we see in today's passage, God continues to grow his people, even in times of suffering and loss. Unfortunate circumstances do not challenge him. Instead, God uses the wicked plans of men to bring about his good purpose. He sees us through difficulties and always provides the hope and faith we need to persevere in our imperishable relationship with Jesus. In these times, we can trust in him to grow us and point us to his covenant promises. Today's devotion has 3 questions. First question is, in this passage, we have seen how God preserved the Israelites through immigration and slavery. What does this reveal about his character? Second question, what does the passage reveal about the reality of spiritual evil that works against the plan of God? And lastly, describe a time when the Lord has grown and strengthened you in times of hardship. That question I can answer. That doesn't make more. I hope you ladies have an awesome day. If you want to go over the questions in the devotion, please send me a message. Always looking forward to hearing from you. Let's stay blessed. Talk to you later.